Hello everyone, my name is Maya and I'm a realtor in the state of Arizona. And today with me is Jerry. Hi Jerry.
Hey Maya, thanks for having me. Fine, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. I really decided to invite Jerry actually because many reasons. But first of all, I never did interview with home inspector because I think that's really important and most clients don't know so much about that. I will talk about, but I just want to first introduce Jerry. He's a licensed home inspector and he's the owner of Your Arizona Inspector.
That's right.
And he's been inspecting homes in one way or another for more than 30 years. That's quite experience.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he'll have lots to share with us today. He's also active in boxer rescue and has 4 dogs on his own.
Yes, I do.
Wow. I was just saying him, I have 1 dog. I mean, he's gonna be 1 soon, and no more for now. But that's quite impressive. Like, that's really nice from you that you help. That's what we need actually. But I just want to go this. I read about that you are a current member and past club president of Toastmasters.
Yes.
And can you tell us a little bit what's Toastmasters? Because
Toastmasters is a non-profit group that is geared at helping people become better public speakers.
Okay.
And I've been a member and a past president of the club for about 23 years or so. And it's a pretty impactful and positive step anybody can take.
So anybody can come and it's free?
It's not free. There are dues for the room.
Ah, okay, but that's
and international.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's our club. It's about $80 every 6 months.
Okay.
But the club.
So is
doesn't
it
make
like
any
different
money.
clubs in Arizona, or it's gonna be one?
There are a whole bunch of clubs everywhere. Every state. It's international.
You just search Toastmasters and whatever comes.
It'll show you where they are and the times and when they meet. So yeah.
That's quite interesting. I'll definitely search about that. Thank you for that. Just want to mention that he and his wife Christine moved here from New Orleans 5 years ago, and they live now in Northeast Scottsdale.
That's right.
And it's quite different, right? North Orleans and Northeast Scottsdale.
We joke about having moved here for the more comfortable summers because the humidity is a lot different here, and it's a lot more comfortable in the summer here than back in New Orleans. But there are several.
Yeah, when I moved here, because I didn't feel the summer, so they told me, okay, so it's because I was in Florida. I live in East Coast too. So they told me here, you're like in the oven, and there you're like in a sauna, you know?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. But now you get adjusted, I guess, on everything.
Yeah.
Not just, the weather is no
It's
big deal.
easier to get adjusted here, though.
Yeah. I'll rather adjust on sun than on snow and cold weather, but it's just me. I love pools, so that's mine. Anyway, today we're gonna talk about. Jerry just recently sent me an email, and it was quite interesting. It was talking about home inspection myths.
Myths.
I have a professional here to correct me, and I just decided to ask him, and thank you for helping me out. So we can talk a little bit more about each one, because I think they're all important, and just hearing from professional, it's very helpful, and you guys hopefully will learn a lot. So let's start. Myth number 1 is home inspection is the same thing as a home appraisal. How is home inspection different from a home appraisal?
My home appraisal is usually ordered by the mortgage company just to see what the value of the home is. A home inspection is more like a checkup, and it's almost always ordered by a buyer. I'm always hired by a buyer to give the house a checkup, to let the buyer know what the condition of the house is, to find out if there are any safety issues, any defects, deficiencies, or anything at the time of the inspection that could help them make a better decision.
And I can just add that from my experience, I always suggest my clients to have home inspected, of course. And it's also kind of proof when you do the walkthrough that actually you have, or not just the walkthrough, when you do the closing, that house was in certain condition. Because if you don't do inspection, you really don't know, you don't have anything on, you don't have proof, So it's really important from my perspective too. And also, I mean, some people they just, they skip it, but most of my clients will do inspection, and I highly recommend. So thank you. So number 2, myth number 2 is home inspectors can advise you on whether to buy the house. So why can't a home inspector advise you on that?
With a home inspection, I can provide information on the house, a snapshot, if you will, of the condition of the house at the time. I can tell you what's functioning and what may not be functioning. I can't tell you how many times I've been asked, would you buy the house? And of course, that's just like saying what you're talking about with the myth. There are so many tastes that come into play. Mm-hmm. My taste for a neighborhood, or for the design, or for the square footage could be way different from the buyer. So there's no way I can advise anybody whether they should buy the house or not. I can tell them what components and systems are functioning and what shape they're in. But that's an opinion thing that I could never do for anybody, because we all have different tastes.
Oh, definitely. We all have different tastes.
Yeah. I
know that for sure. But okay, well, that's interesting to know. Myth number 3 is it doesn't matter which inspector you hire. This is interesting. So don't all home inspectors do the same job? Okay, so competition, watch out.
I guess in the same sense that all doctors, lawyers, and mechanics do the same job in that profession, but it's the quality of service that they deliver. I'm sure you've been to doctors, I've been to doctors who, when we walk out of the office, we say, I'll never go to that doctor again. And we've been to other doctors who we say, oh, I love how his bedside manner, how he approached things. When it comes to a service versus something tangible like a printer or a piece of furniture, a service, the quality depends on how you deliver it. And being licensed is really only half the job. It's only half the challenge. A home inspector has to have a natural curiosity about everything. He has to ask himself why all the time. And most service providers also have to have, and this is with any service provider, with you, with anybody who provides a service, they have to have a passion for helping people. And you have to be, unfortunately, a lot of times you have to be on this earth a long time before you realize that for the most part our purpose is to help other people. And that's what makes a good home inspector, passion for helping other people.
Well, passion is important to any kind of profession. I think if you love your job, you'll do the right job. And knowledge is a power. So as a professional, sales professional, or any kind of professional, you really have to know what you're doing first of all, and then have that passion to learn and help people, educate people. So I think that's nicely said. I will agree with that, definitely. And I think so to say that Jerry, as much as I know him, he is very professional. I mean, I work with different inspectors, and as you said, we're all different. We all have different styles of working, but I feel you're really, really following, like you're very professional. I'll say that. I can, from my perspective. So, and then myth number 4, the inspector will uncover every single thing that's wrong with the house. So there can be defects that can go undiscovered.
You know, that's a big one. There are a few reasons why that's a myth. First of all, it may take a builder 4 to 6 months to build a house. Yeah. And I may have 3 to 4, maybe 5 hours to inspect it. So it's not possible to, in that short time.
They expect probably we'll pay you, you should, you know, kind of, we pay you, so.
Right. And secondly, the defects and the safety issues don't jump out with a flag and yell, here I am. You have to find it. And it's all about following.
This is visual inspections.
Right? It is, mostly visual. So, we'll test the thermostat, we'll do some basic testing, but not any kind of invasive testing. And there are some sellers out there who will take steps to maybe hide those defects, like new paint. They could paint over rotten wood, which we see all the time.
Watch out.
Yeah. And put carpet or put furniture in front of a defect. We're not allowed to move any personal contents.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's a hole in the wall behind a piece of furniture, there's no way I can see it because I'm not going to be moving furniture. It's just against our standard operating practices to move furniture or any personal contents. And third, home inspectors are generalists. We're not licensed in any particular field like plumbing or electricians or anything. If you wanted to find every single defect in a house, you'd have to hire specific skilled professionals like electrical engineer,
and I have great
structural engineers, mechanical engineers, and it would take a while to get them all on the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
They'd have to be in there for days sometimes. If you wanted to find every single defect in a house, they'd also have to do some invasive testing and maybe even some destructive testing. Then you have the inconvenience to the seller. And if you only have a 10-day inspection window, those reports are probably not going to get back to you within 10 days. This again is if you want to find every single defect. Now what we do as generalists, we try to narrow down the number of experts that you might have to get out there. Like we might come across things that might require an electrician or something like that. So it's nearly impossible to find every defect. And again, the inconvenience to the seller, to the buyer, to everybody is pretty much prohibitive, plus the cost of hiring all those engineers is going to be in the thousands. So that's why you hire home inspectors.
What I say always, there's no perfect home, and even if we'll talk about later, if you're buying a new home, there's can happen something. So I always focus on the most important thing, like most expensive thing. I will say AC, roof, I don't know, like maybe water heater. It just depends on the house, but like just we focus always on the biggest thing, the most important thing. So we don't really look into the little things. I totally. You're not, and it's, as you said, it's not enough time to do everything.
Right.
So we focus on the most important thing, which is enough. So myth number 5, did I miss? No, yeah. Myth number 5 is buyers don't belong at the home inspections. Should the buyer be there?
Absolutely. Always ask the buyer to be there at the end of the inspection, as do most inspectors. It's so much easier to show somebody what a defect is and explain to them the ramifications of the defect or the safety issue, rather than just providing a picture with a 2 or 3 sentence description.
Sure.
It's the big things that we want to talk to the buyer about at the time of the inspection so they can get a handle. And again, it's all about providing information to the buyer to help them make a better decision. Bearing in mind that anything can be fixed. And the home that they've chosen to put an offer in on, what they're looking for is something, I guess, to talk themselves out of. And they may see something, a picture, and say, oh my God, it's too big. That's too big. Well, if I'm there to explain to them that an anti-siphon device is a $5 piece of equipment, a piece of fixture that you can just screw on a hose bib on the outside of a house, and that solves the problem, rather than being scared by what an anti-siphon device is. So it's always better to answer questions and be interactive at the end of the inspection.
But if they're not there, like if they're not in Arizona or something, we just have a client from out of state, and you were able to talk to her on the phone. And if you have any questions, you can just call Jerry, and he'll be happy to go over and explain everything. So, in case if you can make it on home inspection, but yes, I have clients who will ask, "Can we come? When can we come?" And the best way is in the end. And why is that?
Well, that's when I have a good handle on everything.
Okay.
I have an idea what the top 3 things might be that they need to look at.
Okay.
And again, there are a lot of cosmetic issues, but it's the big things. It's the things that they're going to have to spend money on maybe, or some deferred maintenance, or they may not be too much at all.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks. So myth number 6 is brand new homes don't need to be inspected. So new homes have problems.
Well,
I'm sure they do. I'm not gonna say name of the builders right now.
And the reason new homes have problems is we're all
you
humans.
can call me.
humans make mistakes, and
Oh,
builders
really?
know that.
Human makes?
Can you believe it?
Oh, no.
And builders know that. And I actually carry around a document in my car that if a builder, because builders know that there are problems with every new house, I present this document to them if they try to prevent me from doing my job. And it basically says they might be breaking the law if they prevent me from doing the job I was hired to do. And it's because it might be a Friday. Maybe somebody on a Friday was so anxious to get home and get the work week over that they just did a quick and dirty job on the roof. Or maybe an electrician's helper was distracted thinking about something going on in his life. He may have bonded the neutral and ground terminals in the sub panel and didn't realize he was doing it, and maybe the electrician, supervising electrician, didn't realize that he did it either or didn't have time to check it out. So here you have a safety issue going on in a new house. And actually I did an inspection.
So you suggest doing, as you said,
Absolutely.
Like, and so that's when, just before like they close, like at the end. Okay.
Just like any home inspection.
Okay.
I did an inspection on a $1.5 million house last year, and you'll have to picture this. It's a chimney, a fireplace and chimney, and picture Lego blocks being hollow in the middle. And that's how this chimney was built. Each section was put on top of the next, put on top of the next. And it was a wood-burning fireplace, and there was no damper inside there. And it's because they forgot to put the damper in. So I looked it up online, and sure enough, they had the construction details of how this should be assembled and where this plate for the damper was supposed to be. They had to retrofit the chimney with a damper, but they got a damper. If I hadn't done this for the owner, he'd never known. He said he would have never known that he needed a damper in that chimney.
So you guys, if you're buying a new build home, call Jerry. I mean, I honestly, that's a great idea. You know, because you think it's new, but you know, look today. Like I buy a new car and something went wrong. You know, like I mean, not with this one, hopefully, but just saying it can happen. So you know, technology and the new things can cause problems. So we're almost there. Myth number 7, flip home doesn't need to be inspected either. If everything was redone top to the bottom, there is no point checking it out, right?
Well, you know, many flippers do a good job.
Yeah.
There are a lot of flippers out there that do a good job.
Yeah.
But there are some, let's take an example. Let's say a flipper buys a house for $300,000 and he knows he can get $400,000 when he fixes it up.
Yeah.
So he's got some levels of budget, or some budgets he can pick from. Let's say he picks a $75,000 repair budget. So he invests $75,000 in fixing this house up. He only makes $25,000 on it, but that $75,000 made this house pristine. Well, he thinks about, well, wait, can I save money if I didn't make it so beautiful? If I spend only $50,000, just do the average amount of repairs. Well, then he makes $50,000. And then let's say he goes and buys or goes and hires unskilled labor, the cheapest material he can find, covers up things he can cover up, and just does a really bad job, but makes $75,000 off of it. Well, we all know greed is a human emotion that a lot of people ascribe to. So there are some good flippers out there, and there are some that just want to do the bare minimum so they can make the most amount of money. And it's good to have a flipped house inspected.
I highly suggest have. You know, it's funny when I get in the house, first of all, you can see that it's flipped, but then you can see how good or not good is done, you know, and that's, for me, it's so visible. Like, you don't even need inspections. Like, you know, you can just...
Yes, you do. No.
I mean, yes, you do to get probably to the more important things, but just like cosmetics, like I'm very visual, and you know, when I see something that's like, it's just, you can tell how everything else is done. So yeah, definitely, that's a must. I can tell. I can say. Okay, this is funny. Myth number 8: home inspectors can predict the future. Can you tell how something is going to perform in the future? I didn't know that home inspectors can predict.
You know, they
future.
They haven't invented that crystal ball yet, the home inspector.
I wish I had.
Me too. I can tell you if something is functioning or not. I can tell you if its age, if there's a label or a plaque on it. And based on statistical analysis, and anybody can find it online, I can give you the life expectancy of a lot of components and systems. But I really can't tell when a roof is going to leak, or when a hot water heater is going to go out, or when an air conditioner is going to stop providing cool air. It's just something that we can't do. It's a snapshot of what's happening at the time, and it's impossible to predict when something is going to fail.
And they use the best judgment and just common sense, like how long something the roof will last, depends on what type of roof will last and so on, and just go from there. And if it happens, it happens. Like if you have a house, it's gonna always be something. So just be prepared on that too. But if you, I always suggest like buying a good maintained house. That really helps when people take care about their home. That I think that can make the longer life, it can last for much longer than if you just don't.
Sure.
Maintenance is very important.
Very important.
So, last but not least, it's number 9. A good house will pass the inspection. So, house doesn't pass or fail the inspection. Can you explain that?
Yeah, a house really doesn't pass or fail an inspection with anybody except one person. There's only one person who can determine whether it passes or fails, and that's the buyer. And it has to either meet or exceed his level of tolerance for repairs or safety issues for it to fail. Now, I had one inspection where almost any buyer would have walked away from the deal, but it passed this buyer's level of tolerance for one reason: because they wanted this school district, they wanted their children in this school, and it was the only house they could afford, and they didn't care if the house was falling down or not. They wanted the address so they could put their kids in that school. And that's a decision they made. So their tolerance level was pretty doggone high. And there wasn't much that house would have had wrong with it that would have scared them away from it. And they were willing to invest the time and years in fixing it up. So
pretty much everything can be. Is there anything that, like, it can be, like, like structural, or, like if it's something wrong with, like something that can, not can't pass, always would be something, but like, is there anything that most buyers will be saying no?
Well, again, it all depends on the tolerance level of the buyer. For instance, if there's a slab issue, I don't know that there are too many people who want to be involved in repairing a slab if it's that bad. If it's a 30 or 40-year-old home and it has a slight slab issue, well, it's been around 30, 40 years. If they can tolerate that little issue, it's their decision. We just provide the information to them.
Well, I was just wondering, like what can happen that most people will say no. But anyway, I think this is a lot, and I hope you guys learned a lot as well. And if you have any questions, please post comment or contact me or Jerry. I'll post our information. It will be there. So for any questions you might have about this, and thank you so much, Jerry. Anything else you want to add about yourself, or just in generally about home inspecting?
No, I appreciate you having me here. This has really been interesting.
Oh no, you helped me. You helped me, because it's for me, it's just easier to tell my clients, send them the video and say, hey, this is, I want you to listen to this, and because it helps me, as much as I want to explain, I think it's much better when they hear from specialists and like home inspector. So it's I think this is the better way, definitely. Thank you again, and we'll talk probably more in the future.
Great,
so
thank you.
Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day.